Andy, thank you for all the memories you've created for us over the years and making another memory tonight. I just wanted to ask you, how did your centre court tribute compare to the one you received at the 2019 Australian Open?
Yeah, to be honest, I really don't remember that much about the Australian Open one, just that, just it was obviously a bit premature, unfortunately. Obviously ended up playing for like five and a half years after that was done. But I mean, at the time I also, I did appreciate it. I was going through a pretty rough time for like a year, 18 months up till that point. And, I'd said to my team, like, after that match that I played, like, if that was the last match that I played, like, I would have been, okay with that. Would have been a great way to finish. But yeah, I mean, obviously tonight, because I knew definitively that was going to be the last time that I'm playing here, it was, I don't know, the build up to the match and everything, like the last week and everything's been really emotional for me. Like every time I was sort of on my own, I found myself getting a bit, emotional and thinking about it and everything. And I mean, they did a really nice job this evening, and I'm glad that it's done now, and obviously try and enjoy the mixed doubles in a couple of days' time.
Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim and Chris. On today's Wimbledon Day 4 catch-up,
Andy Murray's emotional doubles goodbye with brother Jamie.
Raducanu, Draper and Swiatek keep it rolling.
And Novak Djokovic does just enough to get past Jacob Fearnley.
Kim, Chris, today is the 4th of July and we are here to catch up on Day 4 from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ. Draper, Norrie, Boulter, Dart, Fearnley, Murray. It's been an all-British affair on the show courts today as we wrapped up on round 2 in the singles at Wimbledon. Elsewhere, there were wins for Iga Swiatek, Raducanu and Ons Jabeur, but Jessie Pegula, the 5th seed, was dumped out. Guys, we've all made the trip to SW19 today, and though there is much singles action to talk about, first, we need to talk about a certain doubles match involving Sir Andrew Barron Murray and his brother Jamie. I've just about composed myself and composed my voice, but I was a nervous wreck about an hour ago.
I've got the box of tissues ready and waiting, Joel, in case you know.
I had the shoulder to cry on.
I need more than just one box of tissues, I feel. It's just that emotional.
We can attest.
Some therapy, potentially.
Yeah, maybe you need a nice relaxing massage. I mean, Joel, your red-rimmed eyes at the moment, we can see you suffered this evening.
It just hit me like a freight train. It just came out of nowhere. Chris sent a message on the WhatsApp saying there was going to be a short presentation afterwards with about kind of 20 minutes to go, knowing that, it was probably going to end in defeat. And as soon as Subaka stepped on the court, you knew that it was going to be a serious, heartfelt tribute. This was not going to be Australian Open 2019 repeat.
They brought Subaka back.
She's not come out of retirement for nothing.
No, she has not.
I mean, Andy Murray will be needing tips from Subaka. How have you dealt with retirement? Because he's going to be there very soon. But yeah, I don't think anyone was paying attention to what was going on court 1 at the time, which I think Zverev was
No
playing.
one was. We were all tuning in.
You didn't even. It didn't feel like you even needed ticket resale for that match. I feel like if you just wanted to go watch that match, you probably could have just stepped onto the court.
He did just walk past me on the way here, so I'm going to keep my voice down slightly for that one. But what I would say, what an emotional scene that was, looking at the crowds, the scenes around Wimbledon, the cheers. I mean, it was unbelievable, the atmosphere. The press conference, which you've already heard from.
However, Chris, I will say, whilst it was very emotional in the press conference, there was a certain someone, aka you, who was actually watching the live score of the Wozniacki-Fernandez match on No.1 Court.
That's incredibly important there,
Someone's
Joel.
got to keep it together, Joel. We are a podcast covering men's and women's tennis, not just Andy Murray.
You're off the hook.
We're not Andy Murray Weekly, but Wozniacki Fernandez, they were moved to court 1 after being out on court 12.
Twice in a row?
Having to stop
The grass
for light.
has frozen over twice in a row,
I know.
2 days in a row.
Wonders will never cease. I mean, the actual doubles match itself, obviously Jamie and Andy against John Peers and Rinky Hijikata. It was straight sets. I thought quite a sort of standard scoreline, not too shabby, given that they're playing John Peers, very accomplished doubles player.
Jamie Murray's partner
Yes,
quite a few years
previous
ago
partner.
as well.
Yeah, did they win some slams together? They certainly were quite a force to be reckoned with. I mean, Joel, just overall though, obviously you were in attendance at that match. Was that the way you would have liked to see? I know there's still one match with Emma Raducanu in the mix, but did you think it was a really fitting way to go for Andy here at Wimbledon?
I think it was. He was playing with his brother. His family were there in his box. Judy was there. It felt like a real family occasion.
Two of his kids were there.
Two of his kids were there. And, it was just a very emotional time. And although the tennis was, they put up a good performance, I think everyone will come out of that match remembering the tribute afterwards, Subaka coming on, legends of the game coming on, the video which had further legends of the game talking about Andy Murray, and it was just an emotional roller coaster just looking back on all the moments of Andy Murray's career.
It was incredible. I mean, so many players stayed late for it. Even press conferences were pushed back just so they could be there. Everyone wanted to be there. The only person who wasn't in any of the videos or there was Serena Williams. Venus was on the tribute. It was Roger, it was Nadal, it was Djokovic.
I always wonder, how do they pick the players for these sorts of tributes? Do they just send a message out to everyone to see who comes back, or how do you think it works?
I think it's a GOAT mailing list, and 4 of them responded, and the 5th was Serena. And
Serena had other fish
She
to
was
fry.
very busy, maybe, but I know that there's a lot of love between the two of them.
Who would you like? Which player would you like if you had a tribute dedicated to you?
Well, clearly Rafa.
I mean,
for me.
Hanchikova. She gave him a double kiss as Andy was walking out. I did see that.
Kim, not Malek Yaziri or Salvatore Caruso.
Maybe Dennis Istomin.
Oh, yes.
But Joel, just before we kind of carry on, because there were other players happening today, other action going on. What's been your number one memory of Andy Murray in his career? If you had to pick one memory.
I mean, personally for me, it will still always be when he won his first Grand Slam title at the US Open in 2012. I know other people will probably talk about his Wimbledon triumphs, but personally for me, I was there 7 rows from the front when he beat Novak Djokovic in 5 sets. It was a momentous moment. I'd followed him throughout the 2 weeks. The final was on a Monday. I had rebooked my flights, and there was just a buzz about the place. Sean Connery was watching, I remember that. All the Americans were like, oh my God, it's James Bond, it's James Bond. But I will always kind of remember that moment. First Grand Slam title, for me, that is when everything started to click into place.
And you'll always remember it because it is still your phone background, Joel.
Yeah,
I know.
even 12 years later.
I'm not going to be forgetting that moment anytime soon because, yes, it is my phone cover. It's my phone screensaver. I probably should get a photo of it up in the flat as well, to be honest, because, it's a memory I'll be taking to the grave.
You could get it printed on, tablecloths, magnets, you name it. That's a good Christmas present idea. But anyway,
we should do that, Kim.
We shouldn't we? We did have another Brit, another Scot in action actually today. Jacob Fearnley out on centre court against Novak Djokovic. And he did remarkably well, I thought. Lost in 4 sets. And given the fact that this is probably the first 4th set that Jacob Fearnley's ever played.
Very close to pushing it to 5 as well.
Yeah, he had chances to break, I think, in that 4th set.
Yes,
and Djokovic,
indeed.
managed to hold and then, get that kind of final break at the end to edge the 4th set 7-5. But yeah, wow, Jacob Fearnley, even in those first 2 sets, I thought very respectable scoreline, given that you've never played on centre court before and never faced the 7-time champion there.
Well, you're completely right. This was the first ever 4th set he'd ever played against 7-time champion Novak Djokovic and on centre court. So I think a very good showing from him. I think he could have easily gone away when he went down in that 3rd set, a break. He did come back and then he did break to win it. The story of the match, though, I have to say, is that Novak Djokovic was not playing like Novak Djokovic today. I think this was a level up from his first round opponent. And it was clear to me there were problems with movement. It was tentative, and he was not able to get the power he normally has.
Was this a reality check for him?
I think it was. At times, I thought he was limited on what he could do on the court. I've never thought of the man as limited before.
He did look uncomfortable, and it did look like he was playing like a kind of a shadow of his normal self. He said that the reason he was tentative was because of the wind and the tricky conditions. Do you think that was a bit of a obfuscation there, not quite telling the truth?
I mean, possibly, and we've seen players today. We'll get on to in the second half. I think Katie Boulter has really struggled with the conditions today, but the way he was playing in round one, to go from that performance to this performance. Yes, Jacob Fearnley, he was a very game competitor. It's great to see another Brit sort of announce himself, I think, and show his talents. But it's with Novak Djokovic, we've just got to take it one match at a time, and I still don't doubt he can pull out a performance from anywhere.
Yeah, I think a performance from anywhere, and ultimately he is able to get it done. But he did say he's without pain, but he is slower getting to the ball. So I think he's hoping that as the tournament progresses.
Still no white knee sleeve though.
Nope, it's still grey.
It is grey.
Sure.
I mean, surely you could just dye it, bleach it. That's what I was thinking.
Whitewash it, just dip it in a bucket of white paint.
I'm sure you can get a white
That's a
knee
good
sleeve
idea.
in like Sports Direct, to be quite honest with you.
Well,
but
I'm not sure it would have the same technical functionality. I think might be the question there.
But
Even like
over the top.
the whitewash used for the court, the lines on centre.
The chalk or
Dip it in that.
Fabio Fognini's hair dye would also suffice for
would
that.
work.
Could you
wouldn't
imagine that he goes up to the umpire midway through and he's asking for like the whitewash or a painter to come in, the groundsman with some paint to paint his knee sleeve.
Well, if Wimbledon chairwoman hadn't allowed him to wear that grey sleeve, he might have had to. But he does face Alexei Popyrin in the third round. Do you think that Popyrin will have the game to really challenge Djokovic if he's still not moving well and is still slow on the ball?
Well, I think it does depend. I think he might take a set off him, obviously. He did take a set off him in Australia. That was a very memorable match, but it was also memorable because Popyrin did sort of bottle it in that match. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for him mentally. But if Djokovic doesn't elevate his game based on how he performed today, I do think that will be a potential upset alert.
Well, you heard it here. And we also had two Brits out on court one, Jack Draper against Cam Norrie. Jack Draper playing as the new British #1, of course, but it was Norrie that came through in straight sets, perhaps with a bit of a point to prove.
Definitely.
Reasserting
he
himself.
He was fired up. I think certainly over the last month or so in the grass court season, he's not been in the best of form. He lost to Jack Pennington-Jones, who's like outside the top 700. So for him to go from that in the grass court season to defeating Jack Draper in straight sets, who's now in the top, I think just around the top 30 mark, that's an incredible turnaround. And I do think that he might feel like he's been kind of in the shade in British tennis recently, because we've been talking about Andy Murray, we've been talking about Jack Draper, we've been talking about Katie Boulter, Emma Raducanu, and I was not expecting this performance, this level of performance, and the intensity actually that Norrie showed, because he was eating the Jack Draper first serve alive at times, and we haven't said that much this season.
Yeah, I think he said in press that he was just super happy with the way he played, and for him actually he said that it's not really a big motivation to get that British #1 back necessarily. He's just really focusing on how he's actually playing. He does have Zverev next, which is obviously going to be a tall ask, but they did play
because he is tall.
Round 3 of the Australian Open where he did lose to him, so he's never beaten Zverev. But maybe with that kind of freedom and that kind of less expectation, because he hasn't been spoken about so much. Eyes have been more on Draper. Perhaps that will be the difference this time round.
For Jack, do we think it was a step too much, all the pressure that coming into this of becoming the British #1, defeating Carlos Alcaraz? Was it a case that potentially, stepping into Murray's shoes in a way he didn't think he had to, all of the focus is on him in a way that it hasn't really been before? Did that have an impact today, do we think?
I think so. And also, he's the higher seeded, higher ranked coming into this match. The pressure's on him. He's not really, the underdog chasing so much anymore.
And Norrie's got the experience as well, I would say, at Wimbledon. He's gone deep in this tournament. He likes playing here. So I also think that counts for something. And I'll just say Jack Draper's demeanour, it was very different from Norrie. Norrie was pumped up. He was vociferous. He was, really energetic. Whereas Jack Draper, he sort of looked a little bit despondent at times and didn't really know what to do in the face of this adversity. So maybe there's some learning points there as well.
Yeah, very edgy as well at the end. Threw in a double fault, I think, to give away one of the match points. And he was getting a bit annoyed at people in the crowd who were let in, when it wasn't a change of ends. Fair play, but I think he let those sorts of things get to him, probably because of the pressure as well. But we did have other action on the outside courts, of course, as well. Taylor Fritz coming through over Arthur Rinderknech. And now this is quite a tense match between these two players, because there was a bit of aggro at the French Open, was there not, Chris?
Yes, last year we were on that court, and the French crowd were doing what the French crowd does. They tend to boo players and get very boisterous. And look, this was aimed at Taylor Fritz. And then after the match, Taylor Fritz shushed the crowd, and the crowd erupted in boos for about...
Rinderknech being French, so obviously not happy with that.
For about 15 minutes. And
It's
then
like one of our most popular clips on our YouTube account.
it is, I remember saying...
A little bit of free publicity there for Tennis Weekly YouTube.
Do check it out. It's got about 15k views. It's quite good for us. But in terms of what happened afterwards, is that Rinderknech in press at Wimbledon did say that kind of Taylor Fritz made too big of a deal out of it. He said he was kind of whining about it. Fritz saw this clip, it was sent to him, and then it ended up with him saying, well, essentially to have a nice flight home. And we can hear the full recounting of that tale from Taylor Fritz in press now.
I'm a very chill person, and I don't do anything that could, rub people the wrong way. So when someone kind of just goes out of their way to take a shot at me, then I'm not just gonna I'm just not gonna take it. So gave me the extra fire to win, and when we shook hands, I just said, "Have a nice flight home." And he asked me what I said. I told him what I said. He told me he was in doubles still. I said, "Oh, congrats, good for you." And then he started acting like, "Why are you blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Dude, you know what you said. What you said. Don't disrespect me before the match, and then expect me to be all nice after the match. That's not how it works."
Joel, you love this sort of stuff,
I
right?
know, it's aggro, it's needly, and it's a continuation on. So yeah, I'm already looking forward to their next meeting. But yeah, Taylor Fritz, yeah, he's doing well at the moment.
He got through. One player who didn't get through was Stefanos Tsitsipas, losing to Emil Ruusuvuori in 4 sets. How big of an upset is that in reality? He's not been past the 4th round here. He's not great on grass.
No, he's not. He should. Personally, I think he should be better. But I think with the grass court season, it's more competitive, I think, than the clay, and I don't necessarily think that Tsitsipas gives his warm up and his preparation as much focus as potentially he does for the clay season. And as a result, these results, I'm not that kind of surprised by. And yeah, the seedings, it might say it's an upset, but Ruusuvuori is a very tricky customer, very, very consistent, and he hits quite flat as well, and I probably stays quite low for Tsitsipas. Yeah, very tricky to deal with.
And another player who actually has never been past the 4th round, remarkably here, is Gael Monfils. But he made it through into the 3rd round against Stan Wawrinka. That was a match that was held over from yesterday. I think they had a couple of games to finish off today, but straight sets over Stan Wawrinka. He's through. Hubert Hurkacz, though, he is out. And we had many of us had him as the quarter-finalist here, based on his record here.
Yes, indeed.
He was match point down to Arthur Fee and actually, I think, slipped and had to retire on the match point.
It was very, very tense at that moment. I actually think that potentially... I wasn't on the court, I have to clarify, but it was very, very deep into that tiebreak, and it was very, very unfortunate, because the last thing you want is for a match to end like that, especially when potentially had more in it. And someone who has had a deep run here, we thought might have another deep run here, has been forced out of the tournament, and you never want a match to end in that way.
Yeah, that's a real shame given his grass court credentials especially, so we wish him well with his recovery. We're going to take a quick break now, but do join us in the second half where we'll be taking a look at all the women's action from day 4, including Harriet Dart triumphing over Katie Boulter in a battle of the Brits. So do not go anywhere.
I think there is only maybe 1 week difference in age, so our trajectory to the professional tour and top of the men's game is pretty similar. I mean, not much was separating our careers, and we played some incredible matches all over the world, finals of different Grand Slams. All Grand Slams, actually. I played him in finals of all Grand Slams, which I think maybe could be the only player faced in the finals of Grand Slams, or maybe Rafa as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's definitely one of the three guys other than Roger and Rafa that really has impacted my career and my growth as a tennis player a lot. So if this is his last match, obviously it's it's sad that he's not able to finish in his own terms in singles, but playing alongside his brother is probably even more emotional for everyone, for him, for them, for the family, for this tournament, for the tennis in general. So I do wish him, all the best in his farewell. And but I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to come back again. He's incredible competitor. Just resilience that you can definitely study and teach young athletes.
So that was Novak Djokovic talking about Andy Murray after Djokovic's second round win today. Some lovely comments there from Djokovic, who, like he said, they're so close in age, 1 week apart, which is quite interesting.
And it was very nice actually to see him on the court as well this evening.
He stuck around for that.
He stuck around, exactly, because they've grown up with each other. Their rivalry is entwined, as it were. And although Novak Djokovic probably got the better of Andy Murray on quite a few occasions, Andy Murray has also given it back at Wimbledon
2013.
Yeah, US Open as well 2012. So very nice to see that although they're fierce competitors, they can also kind of put that aside and have glowing tributes for each other.
Maybe Murray will come out for Djokovic's retirement video in X
Definitely.
years' time.
There's big peer pressure there now, isn't there?
He has to, but on the subject of sticking around, if Caroline Wozniacki does do press now, I might not stick around and let you two record.
Has she won?
She has won 7-5 in the third
brilliant.
over Leylah
Okay.
Fernandez.
Well done.
So the interview rooms are just behind us, so I might be able to get out and get back in again. It won't be a long one.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably the only one there, to be honest, Chris. You can have a nice chat about Copenhagen, perhaps. But let's talk about the women's action from today, because out on court one, first match up, we did have the Battle of the Brits, Katie Boulter against Harriet Dart. And this went to a last set tiebreak, Dart coming through 10-8 in that tiebreak. I mean, similarly to the Draper Norrie match, this was the lower ranked, unseeded of the two coming through.
The British #1 losing.
British #1 losing. But Chris did predict this. He did say Dart in three.
He did.
How,
He has told us that quite a few
Chris?
times.
I'm so pleased I stuck to my guns, but then we have to say, in fairness to Joel, I did say that Jack Draper would get it done, so we're 1-1 from the Brits today.
What did you think about Harriet Dart's performance? Do you think she was the worthy winner, or I mean, I felt like it was quite a close but not so good quality match.
It was.
Joel.
It was. I'm gonna have to say this in the politest way possible, but 110 unforced errors between them. That says everything. It was very ugly, kind of consistently through the match, and to me, it came down to who was going to hold their nerve the best. It was almost a little bit like that Dominic Thiem, Alexander Zverev US Open final, which again similarly ugly, but it was all about just getting over the line. And Katie Boulter's timing was all over the shop, and it did make me think she was struggling, I think, quite obviously with the conditions, the wind swirling around in the court. And I do wonder whether one of her issues is the fact that she's got a great game. She's got pure, big ball striking capabilities, but it only seems to work, I feel, on like a really still court with absolutely perfect conditions. If there aren't perfect conditions, Katie Boulter can go awry very, very quickly.
Well, Eastbourne is kind of perfect testament to that, because she had that tough match against Paolini and the wind made the difference there. The same with Emma Raducanu, where she actually went out 6-2, 6-2 to Kasatkina, and she said, I was stubborn, I didn't want to play in the wind, essentially. And she's probably going to be under the roof tomorrow, given...
Yeah, I was like, I'm glad the weather's
not great
is dodgy
is it?
tomorrow, because, she's going to be playing with the roof on. Much, much better prospects for Emma.
Are we praying for the roof to be bad weather at Wimbledon? Surely we're not.
Well, if it neutralises the wind. But I mean, how do players learn to play in the wind? Do they have to practice in a wind tunnel or something to develop their game?
To be honest, I'm surprised if you train less indoors. I think actually that's something that Raducanu said after her Doha loss, which is very windy. She said, I've just got to play more outdoors, because the Roehampton facilities, so often they do play indoors. So get yourself outside in bad weather.
Play on the coast. Go to the coast. Find a coastal tennis court. That would be my tip.
Plenty of those in the UK with terrible weather, I'm sure. But Harriet Dart has become the third British woman to make the third round, along with Sonia Cartal and Emma Raducanu. And it's since 1987. This is the first time we've had three British women in that round. So we hope she can go further. Although I think she is up against. Gosh, who's she playing in the next round?
She would have been playing, wasn't it, Jessie Pegula? But Jessie Pegula went out today.
Wong then.
But let's just...
Yeah, so that's, Jessie Pegula, let's talk about her because she lost in 3 sets. And, Berlin champion, she's out. I think she could have lost in 2, actually.
Oh, that was so close. Yeah. It was. She managed to make it to a third, but Jessie Pegula's out. She's still in the doubles, thankfully, with Coco Gauff. They're practicing ahead of the Olympics, so maybe having all her attention on the doubles might help them secure their first slam together.
Yeah, so JPEG is out, but Iga Swiatek is through, so the top seed is through over Petra Martic in straight sets. That was actually a repeat of the same third round last year. Scoreline, perhaps, the match was actually closer perhaps than the scoreline suggested, but the victory was always never really in doubt for Swiatek. Is she looking a bit more comfortable on grass this time? Compared to her first round match, Chris?
I would say yes. I did manage to watch some of that. Ultimately, her game is not made for grass. The serve is not necessarily made for grass, but the level that she's able to compete at is made for any surface. And I think the more time she spends on the grass, having not played a warm-up event, the better she's going to get. And I think this did look better than her first round match.
Are you worried that she could face Ostapenko further down the road? And Ostapenko is looking very, very good at the moment. And she plays Bernarda Pera in the third round, and the last time she faced Bernarda Pera in the third round, she went on to defeat Coco Gauff and Iga Swiatek en route to her French Open Grand Slam crown. So
that's
is that a good omen?
Wow.
Is that a good omen?
Well, Bernarda Pera beat Caroline Garcia from a set down today. So
it's sad because it didn't even register to me until I was sort of scrolling on the results at the end. But the grass court Renaissance is gone.
Yeah, because she's been playing without a bandana. Yeah. So she's sort of gone for a different look, Garcia. But it obviously, she was a setup. I thought quite comfortable, but then I left the match and it went downhill.
I think that's what went wrong. You left the match.
I should have stayed.
But now she's a very serious podcaster. Maybe they can't wear bandanas.
And she's in the doubles still with Mladenovic.
Yes, she is.
Opening up tomorrow. In other news, though, we do have Daria Kasatkina, Eastbourne champion, still going very strong. She beat Lily Miyazaki, British wildcard, 6-love in 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not pleasant.
Oh, no.
Double bagel.
Welcome. Kasatkina is such a frustrating player to play against, and not the result you want for if you're Lily Miyazaki.
Absolutely not. We also had Madison Keys going through. She's still looking quite good. On Jabeur as well. But Rybakina having a few struggles against Laura Siegmund coming through in 3 sets.
Why was she on court 2? Why was she on court 2? She was a champion a few years ago. Not sure about that one.
You don't want to showcase the Brits though on court 1, and then you've got Iga
it's tricky,
on centre.
Because she was in the car park, or the parking lot as we say in New York after that Wimbledon win, but we didn't think she'd be in a car park at Wimbledon. So that definitely is a bit of a surprise. But ultimately, it's about getting the win, whatever court you get put on. On's talked about that earlier in the week. Doesn't matter. She's happy to be through. It was a little bit.
She didn't play great, did she?
And I think she was a bit put off by the fact that Siegmund was really doing her usual tricks of making her wait to serve. It happened probably about 7.
Classic Siegmund.
Well, Coco was annoyed by that at the US Open. It was the same thing again. You should be playing to the rhythm of the server, but in Laura's world, you don't. So I think she didn't have a word with the umpire, but it was clear she was very frustrated with her.
You played Laura's rhythm.
Yes.
Yes. But Danielle Collins also won. She's never been past the third round here, so let's hope maybe this time she can.
Her final time.
I know. Well, yes, because she's on her retirement year, but she came through against Dalma Galfi in straight sets. She's got Haddad Meyer next. That'll be quite a good contest. But it was actually her press conference today that got everyone talking. Let's have a little listen now.
Do you want to do a bag check? Okay. We'll do a bag check. Do you want to?
Sure, unless they need to.
Okay, let's do it. We got cosmetic bag, makeup, and different hair stuff because I got a lot of hair. Bobby pins because I've got bangs, and that can be hard to manage. Some little sweet potato snack things, some blister Band-Aids. I've got headphones. I've got lots of SPF. And when I say lots, I mean lots of SPF, because I burn easily and I got to protect my skin. So I've got more snacks. I've got another snack, and I've got another snack.
Honestly, I mean, Danielle Collins, if she doesn't have a sponsorship deal from that bag company, she needs one now. I want to know more, though. I want to know what the snacks are. And I have to say, I love SPF. I actually use the same SPF as Yannick Sinner, world number one.
The,
La Roche-Posay.
Yes, I'm using
It's
that.
lovely, isn't it, to our
Yes.
listeners? And if La Roche-Posay would like to sponsor the podcast, then please do. But she's got a great bag. She's got great play on the tennis court. And hopefully she can make a deep run in her first run to the second week.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's have a look at day 5 action, because we do have quite a good lineup, I think, on centre court. We've got Carlos.
I hope so, because as I say, the weather is
weather
not good.
forecast is a
It's
bit
not
rubbish.
good. I would not want to be a player on the outside courts tomorrow.
No. Well, lucky for Carlos Alcaraz, he doesn't have to worry about the weather. He's got Francis Tiafoe first up on centre, followed by Emma Raducanu against Maria Sakkari.
Tasty.
And then Yannick Sinner against Kekmanovic of Serbia. So we've got Alcaraz and Sinner on the same court. So centre court ticket holders very lucky tomorrow. And then court number 1, we've got Paolini Andreescu. I think, Chris, we know you're going to be watching Bianca on that one. We've got Dimitrov versus Monfils. And we've got Coco Gauff against Sonny Cartel. So we have got 2 Brits on the show courts tomorrow. Not quite as many as we had today. But what are your thoughts on those matches? Any standout ones for you?
Well, for me, I think it is Alcaraz Tiafoe, the first up on centre. You know, they're both born entertainers, and I'm expecting an Alcaraz win, but I just think they're both going to put on the show for the crowd, and I think everyone is going to leave happy and entertained. I think there's going to be some showmanship as well between them, so I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Chris?
Ooh, well, I mean, I would love to say Raducanu Sakkari. I do say that an awful lot, but I do think it would be nice to see if Monfils could make it to potentially, the furthest that he's been in a very long time at Wimbledon. So that would be very enjoyable. But, I mean, we can't not mention Sonny Cartel as well, because we do talk so much about the other Brits, but this is her moment in the sun. It wasn't centre court like she wanted, but number 1 will still be a great occasion.
I do worry that it might be another Miyazaki double bagel.
That's
kind
what
of
That's
vibe.
what I'm nervous about. And that brings us on to predictions. Predictions time. Right, Kim, Chris, myself, winner and number of sets. We're gonna go through a round table. Let's start. Alcaraz Tiafoe, Kim.
Alcaraz in 3.
Alcaraz in 4.
Alcaraz in 3. Raducanu Sakkari.
Emma in 3.
Emma's taking it in 2.
Ooh.
Sakkari in 3. Sorry.
Oh no.
Sinner Kekmanovic.
Sinner in 3.
Sinner in 3.
Sinner in 3. Paolini Andreescu.
Paolini in 3.
I probably think Paolini in 3 as well.
No. Paolini's playing well, actually. I'm actually impressed.
I saw a bit of her doubles. Yeah, it's really
I've been
good.
impressed how
Yeah.
she's kicked on, actually, from French Open final. However, BB is playing well. Andreescu in 2. Okay, Dimitrov Monfils.
Dimitrov in 4.
I think it's going 5, and Monfils is going to do it.
Monfils in 4. And Gauff Cartel.
I can't see it being anything but Coco in 2.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sonny.
This is like one of those, like, are we predicting how
many games?
Oh, no.
I don't like to end with a dose
3?
of negativity.
3, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Gauff in 2.
2.
We should say
2 games lost.
that it doesn't matter what the scoreline is tomorrow. Fantastic effort either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's done absolutely brilliantly.
Absolutely. Unbelievable effort by Sonny Cartel. And we're going to leave our day 4 catch-up there. Listeners, I hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action to come over the next couple of weeks from Wimbledon.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcasting platforms out there. So if you like what you're hearing, then do make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
You can follow us on social media. You can see everything that we're doing here at Wimbledon. And you can also email the show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X, and the handle for all of those is Tennis Weekly Pod. You can purchase our wonderful merch that we are wearing here throughout the week at etsy.com/shop/tennisweeklypodcast. You can email us as always at tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or do check out our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And once again, we will be back tomorrow from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ for our Day 5 catch-up. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye, I'm off to watch Nike Press.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.